All right, so I did a second video on the obstacles of vulnerability. I'm going to do a third one. I remembered something I wanted to say in that video. I've noticed that in forms of art that really speak to me, not only do they include sort of a perspective I've never had before, or it goes to a place of hope that I didn't see coming, or it gives me some sort of mystery. Uh, I've noticed that vulnerability is often a huge component of whether that work of art speaks to an audience or not. And what was strange to me, and I wanted to mention in the last video, was why is it that when you are vulnerable with someone about some really hard, messed up things that might have happened to you, that they have a need to jump into teacher mode or tell you to see it from another perspective, or don't listen to you fully and might jump to conclusions that you're seeing things in a way that they can see. But in works of art, people they've become accustomed to allow this and accept this. Not everyone has become used to that, mind you. I just thought that was very important because one of the things I try to remind myself and others is that we already are works of art the way we are as we're having these unique experiences. There are certain feelings and experiences for sure that are more wondrous and fantastical, but I wouldn't necessarily say that they're higher than other experiences, because without learning about, say, boundaries or having experiences that did not go where you wanted it to, you wouldn't have the knowledge of how to sort of be in the emotions and the vibe and the goals that you want to be more often. So I'll share something else with you. I've tried this in a lot of practice videos. I don't know if one of my real videos mentioned this. Something that meant a lot to me. I study the etymology of words, and the word warfare, the etymology on Etym Online, uh, it traces to the earliest one we know is to confuse. That's really illuminating because most people think of war as fighting. And I think it was the Germanic, at one point, it said that there was no commoner's word for war. And it wasn't hard for me to realize why that might be. If it's to confuse people, anyone utilizing war on someone else, they're not going to want them to know it. It's a control mechanism, right? I kind of saw it as something that, the Senator Palpatine, that's a Sith Lord in Star Wars, uh, sort of a leech magician, or what they call a dark magician. Uh, they are utilizing other beings with life force energy, and they're kind of leeching off of them, getting them to fight each other and use them for their purposes, but they themselves don't have that life force energy in themselves. So they get people who do to get more of that life force energy and kind of drain them and utilize them for their purposes. Uh, when I hear someone say the warrior in a spiritual sense, they aren't obviously seeing it from the etymology definition. I think what they really mean is someone who is resilient and doesn't give up easily, and they're like tenacious. Uh, so I understand that's what other people are saying. But with the word war being to confuse, it it makes a lot of sense out of, say, you might have heard of the book 1984. It's pretty famous. It shows a lot of confusion. In that book, they try to tell people that 2 plus 2 equals 5, and they use this through mind control. And it's not that the answer 5 matters to them so much. It's that they have the ability to say something that's false, and the brainwashing works on whoever they're trying to control it with. In that book, they diminished the amount of allotted food given to people, but they said they increased it, and these people are brainwashed, and they all rejoice, like, oh, we got more food than before, and it's actually less. And in that book, the government says that they're at war with Eurasia, and that the government is their savior protecting them, when in fact they're actually leeching off of the people. Lots of people have referred to 1984 as prophetic. I think it came out like in the 30s, like 39, something like that. And refer to this place as being kind of like an Orwellian nightmare, or it's going in that direction. I think there is some merit to that, but I do think that there are certain individuals that are going to outlast all this, and they are going to bring about the next golden age. And there's been many golden ages before, some didn't quite take as shape as other ones. There's often a force stopping it, such someone who utilizes warfare. So what I've noticed with words and meanings in general, there is a weird twisting of definitions that, and I kind of visualize it like a clock, like someone took these definitions and meanings and they twisted them around. And why would they do that? Because if they were opposite, it would be really obvious that there's been tampering with the definition. So to give you evidence of more tampering, or just maybe even not tampering, just confusion. The word condescend in etymology originally meant a good thing when a king came down from their high horse and got on the same level as a peasant, and the notion of putting on airs came down later. I've also studied the etymology of words because I've noticed that a lot of people's actions do not match their words. And you can see this right in the etymology of words. There's a lot of stuff like morning, good morning, like your morning sadness, weekdays, as in weekdays, weekend, your weekend. There's a lot of people who've talked about this sort of stuff. One thing that's unusual is the calendar. There's a person named by the name of UFO Caller that talks about this, in which December is Deca, that's 10, and yet it's the 12th month. Octo for October is 8, and yet it is the 10th month. November Nueve is actually 9, even though it's the 11th month. There's just a lot of weird. When you actually listen to the words that you're speaking, you might see you might get some really strange, nonsensical things you're trying to trace. There's the saying, money doesn't grow on trees, when trees are actually paper, and we use paper as the form of money. There's a lot of weird things going on with the language these days, and a lot of confusion. So why this meant something to me. I had a personal experience. I only have so much time to relay this. I had a fellow friend who was an artist. I still consider him a friend, but I had to distance myself from them because we weren't on the same page anymore. They got pretty antagonistic with me. We used to study the etymology of words to study programming. And often my friend talked about never lose sight of the war, and he was talking about this from the standpoint of an artist being a warrior. And I've been very disinterested in warfare or proving oneself through dominance for most of my life. I'm actually repelled by it. The thing that I appreciate it. We studied programming about groupthink and hive mind type thinking, and I'm very grateful for our friendship and exchange. But we parted ways. Uh, I just really want to create the world that I want to. I don't want to have to be pigeonholed into I've got to fight the system or fight this world in order to be a creator. And it's kind of like if we are somehow warriors that aren't, from the confusing etymology definition, fighting against evil, if we're going to do so, we can't do it with the same energy that they are, right? Because they're sort of like a leech. Yeah, I'm talking about extremes here. People who are trying to be leeches uh, sort of feed off of others. They mine the perks and benefits of people with good intentions so that they're the only beneficiaries. Uh, I that is why find it so vital to understand the difference between hierarchy and harmony. Hierarchy is about dominance and taking most of the perks, being higher than other people. It means demeaning others. Harmony means to fit together. There is no invalidation in harmony. It's about putting things where they would like to be and would become most vibrant. This would include taking someone of warfare and groupthink mentality and keeping them away from others, but that is not to be confused with warfare or hierarchy. One might say, this is another perspective I've had, that hierarchy is one very small possibility in the spectrum of harmony. The idea so this is important to know, just because harmony and hierarchy are not at war with each other. Hierarchy is the energy that likes to pretend it's better than other things by demeaning other things. Harmony, like I said, is to fit things together, make sense of things. It's very similar to a song. There might be one song where an instrument really takes precedence. It really it's hitting it. But something I've used as an example is a guitar solo. It may be the thing that's most dominant in a song, but there may be a drummer just using only their hi-hat or maybe only their kick drum. Without a sense of timing, you might be able to record it on a record and be replayed, but without a sense of timing, there is no way to re-perform it live. So even if it's just a really simple note, the point is that even though the guitar solo may be really complicated, it can't be seen as better than a really simple sense of timing with the drummer, because there is no music without each other. And I find this sort of mentality or this emotional perspective very helpful for my own creations, feeling at peace when I go to like difficult situations sometimes, or if I don't get it right while I'm in it, later on I'm able to reflect about it. So yeah, I originally studied the etymology of words to understand programming in others, because I felt a lot of people do a lot of have these sort of like group think, like ostracization tendencies towards me, whether they even knew it or not. Some of them did. And I was trying to make sense of that, and I got tired of studying hive mind or groupthink, and I really wanted to learn more about Golden Age. And the warfare word really helped kind of fit things into place. Because I don't really want to be a warrior. I want to be a creator. Well, anyway, that's all for now. I hope you enjoyed this explanation about vulnerability again and how these etymology words tie in with that, at least in my own personal experiences. Perhaps I will share more of that later with you. Feel free to comment and share some of your unusual perspectives and experiences as well. Have a lovely day.